video, I'm going to teach you guys how to create this set of blinds that I have in my house. So what you're looking at is one of my reference images, and I'll provide this in a link along with the video. Here's another reference image that will show us how many blinds to add. It's kind of like the irregularity of the shape and angle. And then this is a little insert where the, I guess, a cord goes. We have the, I call it box shape. That's, I guess, where all the housing and mechanical things go. And then we have a cord, this shape. We might not create that same exact pattern. This is the top of the blinds. And we have, I call it the little adjuster, or that long rod. And underneath the blinds. And the bottom of the blinds, yeah, and that's my hand. Okay, so I think a very safe place to start with this tutorial is, let's see, let's start off here. This is the base of the blinds, and I'm simply going to use this image. For those of you that are anything like me, I like to screenshot, so go ahead and screenshot that if you want. Okay, and then we can actually create the blinds based on that shape. So let's start off by using EP curve tool. Actually, a polygon. Let's use a polygon cube. Now I'm simply going to show you that we'll create that shape, and then we'll add edge loops that go all the way across, and then we'll extrude the face out like that on both sides, and then we'll bevel it just like that. And then once we do that, we'll take this face, duplicate the face, move it up there, and then extrude the edge. So that's my thought process, and let's get started. So let's go to create polygon primitives cube, and you see how it just popped up like that? It kind of annoys me. So let's go up to create polygon primitives, and then interactive creation, turn that on for your polygon and the NURBS. Excuse me. Now go to create polygon primitives cube, and then I'll just bring this guy all the way across and over, and then drag it up, left mouse click, drag it up. There we go. Minus to bring that guy up and down. And let's begin. So let's go to Windows, actually Mesh Tools, insert edge loop, option box, and that looks good. It's actually on, I'll click on reset, and I'll click right there, and then one more right there. So my entire shape was yellow, so it's a soft selection. You want to make sure you turn that off by pressing B. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add maybe a vertical one here, one right there, and one right here. So now I'll press 4, go in the wireframe, W, right mouse click and hold, go to vertex, and kind of match that shape. Since this thing isn't perfect, I don't know if it's made out of plastic, looks like it is. We'll just kind of get those irregularities, and there we go. we'll align this vertex right there. And I'm also going to make my vertices a little bit larger, so as I'm talking, you guys can see what vertex I'm clicking on. So it's under display, polygon, vertex size. I'll increase it more. There we go. And close that. All right. Now we'll go to face. So let's go to face mode. And I'm going to go into my perspective. Select that face. Hold shift, select that one. Those four. Go back into our front view. And then we can press Control E. If you're on a Mac, it's Command E. And simply click on the Z axis, drag it over. Okay, so it's not going to touch both edges on both sides, so it's quite alright. Let's just kind of zoom in on this. If we press 5, we'll go into shaded mode. And then right up here at the top, this is the X-ray. Alright, so let's click on that. No, it's not X-ray. Where are you, X-ray? Doobie-doobie-doo. Oh. Okay. Okay, I was right. No, I think I clicked the other one. Anyways, right mouse click and hold, vertex, W, just kind of get that to align there. We don't want to be too precise. As precise as you'd like to be. So, to each his own. And take that. Now that we have that, we're going to right mouse click and hold, go to edge, and jump back into our perspective. Let's click on this edge, that edge, that one, this one. So all edges that would make up that little, I don't know, beveled edge, the lip, or the base of our blinds. Come on. Okay, so we have 4. If I press 4 on the keyboard, you could see it's yellow or orange. And we'll go to Edit Mesh, Bevel. The shortcut that I like to use is if you hold Shift on your keyboard, if you right mouse click and hold, it's right there. So I'll start using this shortcut. Alright, so I'm going to jump back into the this view here, my front view, and now you could see that oh, there we go. Anytime this little guy goes away, this little menu, to say I accidentally click over here, you don't want to like press undo, 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 undo. Just press T on your keyboard. Oh. Alright, so let me just go here. If I press T, there you go. Alright, so I'm going to add a few segments. Nothing too crazy. Let's make it really smooth. And then if you want it to, you can go to those like vertices there and align it. Okay, so as you can see, this is going to be a little bit time consuming, so I will speed this up. So as I'm selecting these, I'm not clicking on one vertex at a time, because you could see there's the other part of the vertex behind it. So make sure you highlight that selection, and hopefully you guys are doing a pretty good job. I have faith and confidence that you are. One thing I want you guys to do is, if you could leave a comment and let me know if you like videos that are sped up, like what I just did. Maybe you don't want to see the entire process. You understand and you really don't care about me telling lame jokes, just to kind of fill that space and time of me clicking on vertices. Okay, so we have both sides that look pretty good, and you know what, I kind of messed up right there, so I didn't see it because of the shadow or the angle of that. So there we go, not a big deal. All right, let's jump back here, and since we're in vertex mode, let's right mouse click and hold. Actually, let's go back into object mode. This is the front of our blinds, and then we can press E, rotate this guy towards us, change it to 90 degrees, enter, and then we can press R, scale it wide. Now my scale tool is kind of like snappy, so if you double click on there, change the step snap from relative to off. There we go. Okay, and that's the base of our blinds. Now, there's so many other ways that you guys can create this, and maybe smoothing out these edges, which would require us to create quads in here. If you are anything like me and you kind of want to press 3 on this and not get that really funky crunchy edge, and the reason why it happens is because this area here is actually considered a ingon, which means a single face with multiple edges. This is a single face with 4 edges, so it's a quad. We would actually have to use our multi-cut tool. So for those of you that are happy with this one, then that's cool. There's the base of your blinds. For those of you that want to do the multi-cut tool, I will continue and see everybody else in the next tutorial. So again, if you want to do the multi-cut tool here, then we're going to continue. For those of you that like it this way, then that's perfectly fine. You still can watch, and yeah. So I'm actually going to delete these faces. So right mouse click and hold, go to face, delete, and use the multi-cut tool. Not multi-cut tool, I apologize. Let's see here, multi-cut. So mesh tool is multi-cut, and I'm simply going to click on that vertex and then click there and press enter. Alright, so as I press enter, something weird happened. So let's go to mesh tools, multi-cut option box, and I'm simply going to reset this tool. So let's see if it happens again. Alright, so let's go back into object mode, multi-cut tool, here and there, and then enter. Okay, so I don't like what it's doing. I'm simply going to go to vertex and then highlight vertices that are opposite of each other, and then click on edit mesh connect. There we go. So hold shift and then select those 2 vertices, press G. I think it would be a lot easier to do this in my side view. So I'm going to speed this up for you guys so you don't have to watch me do it all day long. So just remember to select parallel, or what is this, adjacent vertices, and press G, which is repeat the previous command. Alright, and when I get finished with this, on all four sides, we'll be finished with the base of this. Now that we have this version of the base of our blinds, it's going to be a lot easier for us to do something like press 3. So when I press 3 on this geometry, you see how it smooths out and it looks really nicer around the edges here. Although right in the middle of the blinds it gets a little bit soft. So what we want to do is do another bevel on there, but to avoid having to do another, to avoid doing the bevel and adding more of the multi-cut tool, we're simply going to use the insert edge loop tool. So let's go to mesh tools, insert edge loop, and let's make sure that you reset the tool. Let's add an insert edge loop tool right here. Let's add another one right there. And when I press 3 this time, you can see how it's a nice harder edge. So let me press 1 to go back. So I click here, right there, and then we press 3. You guys can see it looks much nicer. And if we wanted to fix this edge around here, maybe you guys think it looks a little bit off, then we definitely can. I'm going to put an insert edge loop tool right down the center. Let's put one right here down the center. And then repeat the same steps by putting one right to the right of this edge and one more there. Okay, so W, right mouse click and hold, vertex, and let's fix this vertex by moving it out so it becomes nice and round. So we press 3, that's what we get. Alright, so let's go up, go this really flat edge, move it to the right, you see, and then zoom out, go to the left side, and move it to the left. And just remember, I pressed 3 so I could see it in the smooth. If I press 1, then it's going to have that kind of like pointy edge, but it's quite alright. And then we press 3. Okay. So I'm really happy with that. Alright. And for those of you that chose not to do this step, it's quite alright, because you just don't have to press 3 when you're looking at your model. Okay, so one other thing I want to do is to duplicate these faces to create the blinds. And I'm going to go to face. Let's all go to face and highlight those faces here. We'll go to edit mesh, duplicate. Okay, it's not Control D in this case. It's weird because we're just duplicating a face, a component. Right, we're duplicating a face. And so now we will right mouse click and hold, go to object mode, and there's that face. Now if you have a hard time clicking on it, what I usually like to do is highlight both of them like this, hold shift, and then just deselect the face there. So there's our face. we'll go to modify center pivot, and there we go. And there's our single face. And what I'm going to do is duplicate it, move it to the right, and this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. So in my scale X, I'm going to change that to -1. Okay. Now I'll hold Shift, select both of those guys, and before I create one of our blinds, I definitely want to make sure that the size is the right way. So what I'm going to do is jump back into our front view, and I'm going to take this shape here, and you guys can probably see it in our, let's see, where are we? We're all the way over here. All right, a little bit far away from our reference, so I will select all 3 of those faces. Let's go to modify center pivot, and let's just creep everything back to the front of our image. And with this guy selected, you know what we can do, just make our lives a lot easier, is take our reference image, our image plane, Control D, press E, and you can see how my rotate tool is kind of off centered. So double click on the rotate, change the axis orientation to world, close it, and then I'm going to rotate it to my right so that in my side view, just if you want to be accurate, you can just change this rotate Z to 90. Okay. All right, so this is that shape. This guy here, I'll actually delete it instead, and I'll take this one, move it up here. Let's press R, scale it down, roughly get the same shape. And because this is at an angle, it's quite alright. Okay, so let's jump back into our perspective. You could see that we rotated our image plane. I'm now going to delete the image plane. This one here. Okay, so the one in my side view, I'm going to delete it because we no longer need it. And put this guy down here. Maybe move it over to the left. Control D. Let's move this guy to the right. And then change our scale X. As you can see, the scale X is no longer 1, nor is the scale Y. So just click on that. Use your left arrow and change the scale X to a negative. And there we go. So I'll hold Shift, select both of those, mesh, combine, and now we will simply right mouse click and hold, go to edge. Let's click on that edge and that edge, hold Shift and select that edge and that edge. And then we will go to Edit Mesh, Bridge, and there's our first blind. Now, as you guys probably already know, we're going to duplicate this several times. So let's right mouse click, Object Mode, and if we turn on this button here, this is our wireframe unshaded, one of my favorite things, especially when I'm modeling. Alright, so I think you guys probably know what we're going to do now. Let's select this. I know what we can do. Let's just put these guys on a layer for now. So it's hold shift, select both of those, and go to layers, create layer from selected, and let's okay, did it create it? Layers, create layer from selected, didn't work. So I'll just click on this button here, and it says layer 1, and we just turn those off and on. Let's turn off our base blinds for now, and then turn on base circle. Okay. So this little shape is underneath the bottom of the base blinds. Okay. It's underneath here. And let's work on that shape. It's very straightforward. So let's jump back into our front view and go to the create poly primitive, and let's click on the cylinder. I'll hold shift, and looks like we can't see that shape. It tells me that I created it, so I'll press spacebar. I'll go into my perspective and look for it. It's like super tiny, and it's right here, and I'm going to delete it. Alright, let's try that again. If I press Y on my keyboard, it's the repeat previous command, which is the create cylinder. I'll hold shift. Oh, did it again. Alright, so let's actually just drag it on the grid. And I think it's hidden in my layer 1, which it is. Sometimes Maya does that. I don't know why, but I guess we'll just kind of roll with the punches. Oopsies, I made a mistake. I accidentally deleted. I think I deleted that layer. Let's see. Yep. So undo, undo, undo. Okay. So now we have these guys created, and we put it on layer 1. I'm actually going to press Control E to extrude. And in your perspective, let's move this to the right just a tad. You see, just a little bit right there. And then we'll press Control E and move it over again. And then let's press Control E one more time, and then move it over just like that. So it's not the same length as we want, but what we will do is we will use our reference photo to get the same exact width, okay, and the same exact scale. All right, it's not bad. So the reason why I added this line here is it's like a reinforcement of this edge. So if I press 3, you could see that this edge is soft, okay? But if I didn't, so let me just like delete this edge. I'm gonna press undo, so I actually go to edit mesh, delete edge. If I press 3 now, look what happens to this whole thing, right? It looks really soggy. So if this happens to you, all you have to do is simply go to your mesh tools, insert edge loop, and add an edge loop right there. So when you press 3, there you go, nice hard edge. Okay, so before we get this to scale, I want us to turn off the this image plane. So that image plane is the, okay, I don't know why it turns everything off. We will highlight these guys, right mouse click, and remove selected objects. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So, and this is my layer 1. I'm just simply going to delete base blinds, that layer. Okay, and then I will select this object here, and then go to this little icon. All right, it's going to create a layer, and I will rename it. Sometimes you can do it by double clicking on it. I just go into my attribute editor, layer 2, and call it base underscore blind. Enter. There you go. And then let me just delete this guy. Then I'll click on this guy and click on that same icon here and rename it by going to my attribute editor, my layer 1, and call it blind. Go back to my channel box editor, and there we go. Okay. Now this is my blind reference, which I don't understand. Base blind, blind reference. Okay, so this guy is going to be my base blind ref. Okay. Sorry for that little setback, y'all. Now let's turn on base circle. Okay, let's turn on base circle, and I'll press spacebar. We'll look at it through the front view, and we will go to create, poly primitives, and click on cylinder. So let's hold shift, left mouse click and drag. Okay, so we can't see the cylinder because it's probably assigned to one of these layers for whatever reason. I hate when that happens. Okay, so for whatever reason it was associated with this layer. Since we're finished with this, I'm just going to delete it. Okay, let's go ahead and move this guy over here. And just get it to align. So there's a hole in there. What we can do is just press R, scale it down like that, and then let's look at this shape up close. Press F to frame in. Let's right mouse click and hold, go to face, and let's delete that half of it. Okay. Let's right mouse click and hold, go to edge, double click this edge, and let's press Control E because it looks like it goes forward, out, I guess. Control E again, and move this guy out like that. Okay, so this edge represents that kind of shape, and it would be best if we went to our front view. Okay. Now, all of these little details you don't have to create. This is just me going above and beyond for those of you that like all of the extra details. Press Control E again, and let's go out there. Press spacebar. Let's look in our perspective view and push this back like that. And then press Control E. And now we're actually going to press R and scale it wider like this. Control E, press that blue edge there, and there we go. Press spacebar to look at it in our perspective. So if we want it to have harder edges, so let's say like we press 3 on this, it's very soft, but maybe you want this edge to be a little bit harder. Let's press 1, right mouse click and hold, go to object mode, mesh tools, insert edge loop tool, and we'll simply add an edge loop right here, one right there, one here, one there, one on the inside, right there, one here, and then one there. Okay, it's kind of like beveling. Now when we right mouse click and hold, go to object mode, and we press 3. See? Nice. Okay, so we are finished with the base of that little base circle, I called it. And then if we turn on the base blind geometry, I want to move this into place, at least where I think it would be. I'll press E, I'll rotate it flat. Let's change this to rotate X, because that's the angle, to 90. Press W on this guy, move it up. And based on this image, it looks as though it might be a little bit bigger. So I'll just press R, scale it down, press W, and then move it up. So I'll move it up in my side view so that it's easier for all of us to see. And let's move it like this, right here. And then I'll press E to rotate it like that. W, move it right there. And kind of like nudge it around. And what we can do is go to right mouse click and hold, go to edge, double click on this edge, W, and just move it up. Right mouse click and hold, object mode. Okay, so we have the little part where the string would go through, and let's turn that base blind off. Oops, sorry, base circle, base blind reference. Okay, so what are you? There we go, base circle. And we have our blind. So let's start to make things look. Okay, I'm just going to delete that layer. My layers are acting really silly. Let's highlight everything in our scene, edit, delete by type, history, and there we go. So now that we have all of that, we are going to create the exact same width, okay? And for that, I'm going to turn on the base blind reference to image. I'll select this guy, I'll hold shift, select that one and that one, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to freeze all of our transformations. So let's go to modify, freeze transformations, control G to put it into a group, and then we'll go to modify center pivot. Now a group just puts different objects of different geometry inside of I don't know, like a briefcase, into like a file. So this is my group 1, okay? and I went there by clicking on this. This is your outliner. So we can double click on this and call it blind underscore group. Okay. This is an old polygon cube I can delete. Let's close that. And let's click on this object, press the up arrow, and let's jump into our front view. Okay. So it might be a little bit confusing with the X-ray on, so let me turn the X-ray off. And here we go. So let's press R, scale all of this down significantly. You can either scale this geometry down or you can scale the image up. So I choose to scale it down. And this curve here represents that curve there. So let's press R, scale it down even more. And I can move my blinds up if I wanted to, like that. And this guy here, press the up arrow. So that's where it should go. Okay. And now I'm simply going to select this geometry, hold shift, select that geometry. And then let's go to right mouse click and hold, vertex. Right mouse click and hold on that one, vertex. Highlight that, those vertices. And let's bring it all the way over. Just like that. Okay. So now here's the fun part. We can just emulate the same kind of like angle. So I'll press E, rotate it. Oops. Let's center pivot this blind. So modify, center pivot, and it moves it over here, I guess. And we can kind of angle it any way we want. Now, I want to see why. Okay. Let's take this image plane in our perspective, press W, and let's move it back like this. And if this grid is bothering you, let's simply turn it off. You can go to display and then just turn the grid off, you see. All right, there's our blind. Press F to frame in on it. Okay. And yeah. So these little guys go underneath each one of those chords or these strings. So let's do that. I know I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, a whole lot. So let's move this guy over here. I'll press Control D and move this guy right there. Although you can't see it, it is there. If you don't trust me, look, it's right there in our perspective. Okay. I'll press Control D again. Move it over about there. Control D, move it over right in this area, and Control D, move it again. All right. One more time for the road, and there you go. Okay. So we have all of these. Pretty cool. Now let's organize these blinds. Let's make them look really nice. Okay. So with this blind in particular, it represents that one there at the base of our window. Oops, not really. I guess it's just because of the angle. I'm going to hold D, which you should as well, and click on that red triangle and move it to the side of your blind so we can align everything here. So let's press Control D. Let's move this blind up. You can press E to change the angle if you want. Okay, Control D, press W, move this guy up again. Don't worry about trying to move this over to the left. It's just the perspective. Everything is going to be perfectly straight here. But if you did want to move the blinds left and right just for your own, you know, your own steez, your own style, then it's all good. All right. So I'm just having fun now. All of the modeling is over when it comes to the blinds. We still have to do the top housing here. Okay. Now I'll show you guys an easier way to duplicate. So what we can do is press Control D, move this guy up, and then you hold Shift and press D. You see? And so now it is duplicating it at the same space as I was doing before. Okay, so I'm going to stop doing that. Actually, no, all of these blinds are the same width, so it's probably in my best interest to hold Shift and then duplicate. Although again, this image looks like we should rotate it. Alright, so now that we have these blinds and that image, what we can do is just hide our blind reference image too, and you can select, you know, groups of blinds, press E and then rotate them like this. You could take a few here, rotate them individually however you want. Okay, if you select all of the blinds, okay, and then close it. Right. I know some of you guys are probably programmers out there, or you know how to do like a switch that would turn it off and on. I'd love to know how to do that tutorial. Okay, so now we're finished with the blinds, and you guys have stuck through this tutorial like a champ. I'm going to add some of those details that we are missing. So base blinds, let's click on, what is this called? I think it was the top reference, which is this shape here. Alright, so let me turn off that layer, and if I click on one of those blinds and press the up arrow, it's going to select the entire blind, and that's base blind, that's blind, and these little guys need a group. So I'll click on the base blind, I'll right mouse click and hold and add selected objects. Okay, so let's click on top reference, and I will go into our front view. Now this shape is going to be a little bit different, and the way I'm going to approach it is just simply by creating one half of it and then duplicating it and then moving it down there. So I like to draw on top of my reference images, and I'm going to try to get this to rotate it. So let's rotate it up like this. Again, I'm going to provide you guys with the files for this project, the layers, everything. You know what? Now would be a great time to save. File, save scene as, and let's call it top underscore blinds. Okay, so let's use this grease pencil tool. All right, what's happening is it's putting things on layers that shouldn't be. I don't know why I would ever put that on there. So this is going to be a cube. Okay, or you know what, we could use the top of our blinds for that shape, but let's just use a cube. And then we'll bevel this part. We'll bevel that. And since it does curve out, we'll add a few edge loops to get maybe like 3 edge loops to get it to curve. And then we'll extrude it up till here. We don't even really have to worry about that section here, but those of you that want to, extrude it out, extrude that face down, and then we could bevel that edge. Okay, and we'll probably have to add an edge loop. No, not really. We'll extrude it twice. 1, 2, and then right down the center. So that's a shape that we're going to do. So in this section, we're going to create the top part of this object. So let's go to Create, Polygon Primitive, Cube, and I'll hold Shift to create that kind of width. Okay, and let's press R to scale it down a little bit. Let's go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop Tool, and let's add an edge loop right about here. Press W, and because this is a cube, I want to delete half of the faces. Actually, let's delete all of them except, okay, oops, you know what, let's delete that side. So we want that edge loop right down the center. Okay, so that's what we want to keep. Right mouse click and hold, object. Alright, so let's right mouse click, go to edge, click on this edge, jump back into our front view, hold shift, bring this straight down, right mouse click and hold, object, mesh tools, let's go to insert edge loop tool, let's add one in the center, and then immediately press W and move it forward. If you press R, you can actually scale it down too. You see? W, press R, and then let's press Y, which is repeat previous command, and that was your insert edge loop. So let's click there. Press W, let's move it here. R, scale it down. There you go. And then let's press Y, let's click right in the middle. W and push it forward just a little bit, and then R, W and move it forward, and let's click on, let's go to vertex mode, and let's kind of nudge this guy over so it keeps that nice rounded shape. Let's take these guys and move them over, and let's just kind of match that shape as well. Just put it right there. And if you want to get all finite and all good in the details, and yeah, let's just do that as well. Okay, right mouse click and hold, go to edge. Let's click this edge. And then we can press Control E, Move this guy down here. Take this edge, Control E, move it over just a bit, and Control E again, move it over. Let's take that tiny little edge right here, Control E, and move it straight down. And now we will right mouse click and hold, go to Vertex, highlight that vertex, press W, and then we can press 4. Oh, I said that we were going to bevel this edge, so what we can do is just kind of cheat it. We won't bevel it at all because, again, no one's going to see it. So we'll do our own little working in there. Let's right mouse, let's press 5, right mouse click and hold, go to edge, click on this edge, hold shift and bring it straight down to the middle. So we want to keep this curve shape here. So let's go to vertex and kind of move these guys forward, match that line there. Okay, so that's that shape. Let's go ahead and duplicate this thing. So I will press Control D, change my scale Y to -1, move this guy straight down like so, and then I'm not really worried about the angle just yet. Okay, so I'll hold shift, select both of those shapes, mesh, combine, and then let's go to edge and select those two edges there, edit mesh, and then bridge. Okay, so now let's go to vertex mode, press W, and I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'll move this one forward. Let's select that whole row, hold shift, select that whole row, and kind of move everything back a little bit. Okay, so I'll speed this up, okay, so that you don't have to watch me move vertices all the time. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that whatever vertex I click up here is going to be the same vertex that I click on the bottom side, and I'm just trying to get this to curve. All right. Okay, so that's the shape. Happy with that. And last but not least, what we have to do is extrude and then bevel that edge there. Okay, so let's press spacebar. Let's jump into our perspective. Let's go ahead and rotate this guy 90 degrees in the rotate Y. Let's press Control E and just kind of slide it to the right. And then let's select this edge here, that edge there. Hold shift, select that one and that one. Mesh tools, edit mesh, bevel, and then let's add 4 segments should be fine. Right mouse click and hold. Now I'm not going to press 3 on this because if I do, that's what I get. Okay, we could just press 1. If you wanted to press 3 on this, remember that you would have to go back in here and then connect those vertices. So again, for those of you that really don't care about it looking a little bit low poly, then that's fine. But for those of you that want to clean this up a little bit, well, this part's for you. So after you bevel that, let's right mouse click and hold, go to face, delete those guys, and then let's go to the top, right mouse click and hold, vertex, and let's select opposite vertices, and then go to edit mesh, connect. So I'll speed this part up. All we're going to do is just press G, which is repeat previous command, and create our quad. G, like that. Okay. So now, if we were to press 3, the same problem arises, which is the edges. So let's right mouse click and hold, go to object mode, mesh tools, insert edge loop. Let's add one here and one there. We can add one there and one right down the center, one right there. So when we press 3, that's what we get. Let's click right here, right there, one right down the center, and one right here, and one right there. Press W, let's go to object mode, then we press 3, and it looks nice. So what we're going to do is simply go to modify center pivot, Control E, let's move it to the right just a little bit. Remember, this is kind of like having the beveled edge, or just preventing it. You know, it's kind of like that same approach that we did on the base of our blinds. Let's press Control E again. Let's drag it over. Control E one more time, and there we go. Now let's go to object mode. Let's hide the top reference, and let's turn on blind reference number 2. Let's click on this guy, press spacebar, and then we press R, which is the scale tool. Scale it down, press W, and move it up here. And press R, scale it down more. And there we go. Now, I'm going to right mouse click and hold, go to vertex, and let's highlight that half of it. Press W, which is your move tool, zoom out, and then let's bring this guy all the way to the right. Right mouse click and hold, object mode, and let's turn on our blind, and let's turn off our blind reference 2. And there we go. So this is maybe just a little bit far out to the right, so bring these guys in a little bit. Okay. So there's your blinds. We're missing a few other components, like the let's see here, this box shape. All right, we're missing this part, and we'll actually do that in the next video. I think right now is probably enough, and maybe some of you guys are probably satisfied with what we have, so I won't bore you anymore with any more of these details. I hope you guys had fun. Okay, and I will see you in the next tutorial. So please make sure that you like and subscribe. Forgot to add that, and share this with your friends and people that you think would actually enjoy this. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.